Hi everybody, my name is John.
And I'm Shannon.
And together we are
Bears Adventures.
Hey now, take a step outside and seize the day now. Set aside your worries, it's okay now. The sun is here to stay. Blue skies, feel the wind beneath you as you fly by. Dancing on a cloud, it lifts you high, high, high. Your troubles blow away. And oh yeah, everything you want's right here. And oh yeah, the music's never been so clear. It goes oh, oh, na 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 na. Oh, oh, na 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 na.
This is our first video together. We wanted to get on here and do an introduction video about ourselves and our channel. I'm John.
And
This
I'm
is
Shannon.
My wife Shannon, and together we have two kids, Caleb and Kirsten. And then we have two ornery dogs, Kinsey, who is ornery, and Capone, who is the lovable Old English Bulldog. We're in the process of downsizing our home. We're at the beginning stages of really getting downsized. We're coming down to the final couple months. What kind of led us on this full-time RV life adventure that we're planning on taking here in the next few months is we've been married for 19 years. Yeah, 19 years. Just had our 19th anniversary. And for most of this 19 years, through the different employment that I've had and careers paths that I followed, it's taken me away from home. First, when the kids were really little, I was a disaster services director for the American Red Cross. I'm a certified Colorado emergency manager, and so I was always gone for national disasters, and I was part of Hurricane Katrina and Rita disaster recovery in Florida and Washington D.C. I sat in this the National Emergency Operations Center helping to coordinate Red Cross services with FEMA and other disaster agencies. And then about 4 or 5 years into that career, I kind of switched up and went back into wildland firefighting. And so I was all over the United States for mainly Texas and Colorado, Wyoming. I went to Idaho, Utah, California. I was all over the country for these big wildland fire events on the national incident management teams.
And he loved it.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it more than anything in the world. But then the kids got to be starting to be a handful as they got a little older, and so I decided to come home, and then I got into my last career field as a welding inspector. I did a lot of welding when I was younger, before I got married, and so I went in the oil and gas industry and as an inspector in the oil and gas pipelines and construction. So through all these different careers I was always traveling, living in my fifth wheel wherever I went. Barely getting to see my family because when the kids were in school, I didn't get very much opportunity to see them. So, excuse me, I got a little bit of this cold bug.
It's not the coronavirus.
Yeah, hopefully it's not the coronavirus. If not, sorry, honey.
No, thanks. Yeah.
But anyway, so my last project that I was working on in the oil and gas industry, I was over in the Front Range of Colorado working for a couple of years, living in my RV there in Brighton. And one afternoon I got a call from work that I needed to come home, and it wasn't my wife that called. But our 19-year-old son, who was just fixing to graduate high school, was killed in a motorcycle accident. So I grabbed my father-in-law because he was over there working too, and we came home. So after we got all that situation handled, and I went back over to the Front Range of Colorado and finished out the project that I was working on, and I decided that it was time that I came home for a while to kind of help my wife and my daughter. My daughter's in her senior year of high school this year, and so I decided it was time to come home and spend that last year with her and help get her through high school and get her on her journey to being an adult. She was accepted to a couple different colleges here in Colorado, so universities. So as soon as she's done here at high school, we're loading up the fifth wheel, and we're going to be empty nesters and doing a little bit of traveling. So you want to say anything more about Kirsten graduating and talk about the current situation
if Kirsten graduates
with the beer flu?
Yes, if Kirsten graduates, and I don't say that because she's doing poorly in school. It's just that they've canceled classes until April 20th now. So she's actually quite bummed, and I am quite heartbroken for her as well. She's very, very into her choir, and they do competitions regionally, and all of those competitions have been canceled because of this. And then they found out that their prom was canceled because of this. So she's pretty bummed out and pretty upset that she's not going to have, I guess, what you'd call a typical senior year. So now our mission is to her not to lose her motivation and graduate and still be excited for college, although it's kind of tough because all of her visits and orientations have been indefinitely canceled, which I'm sure at some point they'll come back, but she's pretty bummed off about it, and I'm really bummed.
That's Capone over there scratching his ear.
I want to see one of my kids graduate really badly. That's something that I always told my kids. That was my number one job, was get them through high school, get them to graduate, and then they could decide what to do with their life. So hopefully things will go back to normal before we have to leave, and we can watch her graduate, but a lot of that dictates on when we're out of here.
Yeah. So this RV adventure we're planning on taking, it's really not nothing new to either one of us. We've been lucky. I should say I've been lucky that I've had her pushing and prodding on me for years. We've always taken really nice vacations with the kids and done fantastic things, whether it was just hooking up to the trailer and going up in the mountains camping, and then in the case of our son, he used to race mountain bikes, and so we'd take the trailer up to all the ski slopes where they did the downhill mountain bike racing, and we'd go camp out and watch him race, and then a lot of times in the summers we'd go rent Forest Service cabins and things, and camp out for a week at a time and enjoy fishing and hiking and then running around on my side-by-side or four-wheelers. So we've always been an outdoors type of family, and one of the bigger vacations that we've always taken is we're Disney Vacation Club members. So we like to go to Disney World and the theme parks there.
I'm the Disney.
She's the Disney fanatic. She
I'm the
knows
Disney
everything about Disney.
Freak. Yes.
The other thing is the Disney cruises. We're gold members on Disney Cruise Line. So we've gone all over the Caribbean and all over the place, enjoying ourselves as a family.
Well, I always thought it was important that we did a vacation as a family, even though that meant taking kids out of school sometimes. But in the summers, we were very split. My son would be racing his mountain bikes, and my daughter and I would be showing horses, so we rarely spent a weekend together. And then with John being out of town, he rarely got to spend a weekend with us. And he was always a good sport and would take his time off and follow my direction on going on vacation and then feeling like you need to come home and go on another vacation. But I always thought it was important. I wanted our kids to have...
She's starting to fight.
I know. I wanted our kids to have family vacation memories. That was very important to me. And I wanted my kids to see as much of the world as I could possibly give them in this short time. So, and it's nice knowing that we were able to have some really great vacations with our son. It is one of the few comforting things that I'm so happy that he was able to go and do and see as much as he did. So, yeah, traveling, I love to travel. I'm not sure it'll be tough, the driving. I like to travel in airplanes. So it'll be an adjustment.
So after being gone for the last 19 years, I decided to come home and thought it was time that we start living for today, and because we're not promised tomorrow. So I talked things over with Shannon, and I thought, well, maybe it's time that we start enjoying life a little bit and get out and do some traveling on our own, since Kirsten's going to be off to college. So as soon as Kirsten goes to the university, we're planning on going down to New Mexico for a little while. And the reason why I want to do that is one of the things I like. One of my hobbies is I do a lot of POW, or prisoners of war, missing in action research on POW MIAs and during World War II who were in the Philippines and died in the POW camps there. They were buried in mass graves. And after the war, many of these men couldn't be identified, so they interned them or buried them in the Manila American Cemetery under a cross without a name. It just says, "Here lies a comrade in arms, unknown only to God." So what I do is I actually do the genealogy research on these men that are listed as unknown, and I find their current descendants and contact their current descendants and ask them to provide a DNA family reference sample to the Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency. And then one of the things I got to thinking about, I've done hundreds of these men and made contact with over 100 families. And I have many POWs right now that are actually been disinterred, and their remains are sitting in the lab in Hawaii, waiting to be identified. So we've got some results coming here pretty quick. But anyway, one of the things that I decided to do is not only do the research on these men, but I thought it was time that somebody started telling their story. We never hear about them. We never hear about what they did for our country and the sacrifices they paid for our freedom. And I thought now's a good time to start telling their stories. I started a podcast called Stories of Sacrifice. So in this podcast, what I do is I actually interview their families, and I get the POW's background of when they were growing up, and what their life was like, where they lived, and kind of the things that they did, and then we tell the story about their service and their sacrifice that they paid. So if you're on a move day or something and want to listen to some good interviews, get on iTunes or your favorite podcast player, Google Podcasts. Look up Stories of Sacrifice and listen. They're great interviews with these families. So we're going to spend some time down in New Mexico to start things off. Like I said, the New Mexico had the largest number of those that are listed as missing in action from World War II in the Philippines. It was the 515th and the 200th Coast Artillery Regiment. They were federalized and sent over there just before Pearl Harbor was bombed, and like I said, they still have the largest amount that are MIA. So I plan on going down to New Mexico first, start doing some family interviews. I'm going to do this interviews and video vlog, and then also on my podcast, so that way more people can hear it and see it. And then we're also going to have a channel. This channel is also going to be dedicated to our RV life and our RV travel. So it's kind of going to be a two-pronged type of channel. We're going to have the POW MIA stuff, and then we'll have Bears Adventures, where Shannon and I will be vlogging a lot of our travel, and that way our daughter Kirsten can keep up with us and stuff while we're on the road. One of the things that, after we leave New Mexico, we're going to be traveling through Texas and Alabama and into Florida and places in the South. And what we're going to kind of do is maybe look at finding a home base, a place, an RV lot or something that we can buy or rent for long term, that where we can have some place to call home. And during Christmas and spring breaks and fall breaks, Kirsten will have a place to come hang out with Mom and Dad, and we can still enjoy our family life as well. So, but we're also looking at doing our domicile in Florida, because we want those good Disney
Disney breaks.
in-state discounts, because being such Disney fanatics. So that's kind of us in a nutshell. Like I said, we're just sitting here waiting for Kirsten to graduate, and if this darn beer bug doesn't shut her graduation down, we'll be doing good. But we just wanted to get our faces out there and let everybody know who we are, and hopefully here you'll start seeing a lot more of us. We'll start doing some campground reviews and trail reviews up here around western Colorado, where we're currently at, to try to get the channel going with the traveling aspect. We've got a lot of hiking, mountain biking, and all kinds of outdoor recreational areas around where we're at, the Colorado National Monument, the Grand Mesa National Forest, and other places, where we're going to start getting out and videoing it and showing you guys, hey, this is a great place to come for a week or two and hang out and have fun. We're only about an hour's drive from Moab, Utah, and many points south of there. So Durango, Colorado, Dolores, Dove Creek. One of my favorite places around here is actually Silverton, Colorado. If you haven't been to Silverton and rode the Silverton Durango train, narrow gauge train, you need to do it.
Yes.
It's a must do.
It's beautiful.
And go see all the old ghost towns and all the historic gold mining stuff. It's a pretty good adventure around here, and so many things to do. But that's us in a nutshell. And please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and ring that bell to get notifications. I'm going to start doing a lot of live streams and hopefully getting heavily involved with the RV full-time RV community, and active with all the veterans groups and things like that. Another thing that I do too is I'm a volunteer with Purple Hearts Reunited, and I do a lot of genealogy work for that nonprofit organization. And one of my plans is to start returning military Purple Hearts while I'm out on the road for Major Zachariah Fike. So it's been good to see y'all. I appreciate you stopping in, and we'll see you on the road, hopefully.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank
All right,
you.
everybody. find every toy in this place.
Kinsey will not let us do this.
She's gonna find every toy.
She wants to play with her squeaky toy.
Ball.
Or now it's the ball. Every time I take something away, she gets mad.
And goes and finds a new one.
Now she don't know which one to use.
Okay, we
So
got
I
30 seconds.
hope you can put up with the wiggling and the jiggling and the pig noises here. She likes to grunt and snort, and don't make it worse.
I'm sorry. I'm just,
She thinks it's playtime.
yeah.
While Capone is over there on the bed sleeping.
He's the good child.
Okay, blooper's over.